Wow, this is cool. Sitting down with Danny Silk. This is exciting. We're like hanging out in a studio this time.
I know. Look at us.
Usually we're like going through some sort of Zoom application or
it's like we're adults.
Instagram Live. We have definitely grown up here.
Yeah, I feel like a grown up being in here.
It's good to have you with
Thanks
us,
for
man.
having me, buddy.
Super stoked to get a few minutes with you, and really stoked to talk about the things we're going after. I think I didn't know that you were actually the guy to talk about this.
Huh?
So we just caught up a few minutes before the cameras turned on, and lo and behold, wow, you're the guy to talk to about this. I mean, I knew we were going to get some nuggets out of you with everything Keep Your Love On is about. But yeah, we're cracking open a fairly large subject, this idea of responsible leadership. But within or underneath, the subheading really is like, okay, influence, power, control, vulnerability, trust. You know, we just finished an interview with a younger gal whose backstory is very much like, wow, there was a lot of control at play, and how that impacted her relationship with the Lord and how she now relates to leaders. You know, it's not as simple as everybody's awesome, we can love each other, it's a smooth ride.
Like a family. Yeah.
Families can be kind of not a smooth ride.
Can be.
Are.
Yeah, every once in a while they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely here to pick your brain and pull on you in that space of, you know, healthy leadership, but when influence starts to turn into control, power dynamics at play, you know, what are things that are motivating that? And again, if I had a goal, it would be, well, we're trying to give strength to people that might be in situations that feel like that, and give them some tools, some keys.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just start there. Like, you know, we're in a position of leadership. I am a leader in someone's life. I have influence. There's responsibility and role to lead. Nothing bad about that. That's a really healthy, positive thing.
Noble assignment. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe talk about the nobility of that assignment and when it's healthy, it looks like, or it can look like.
Well, you know, the assuming the position of leadership, you know, has everything to do with a prepared condition. Like, you know, if you're prepared to lead your little brother at a lemonade stand, then that's where you should be leading.
Yeah.
You know, if you're prepared to lead a small business with yourself and maybe an employee or two, then try that out. Yeah. If you're prepared for a role of great influence and great responsibility, then this is going to be magnificent. But if you're not prepared for it, you'll just take it. You'll just assume it. You'll end up in a spot where your anxiety is jacked up out of control, and pretty soon, scared people control people.
Okay.
And this is it. So sometimes this happens to parents with one kid, right?
Yeah.
I got one kid. I got one job. I got this kid. This kid scared me to death. Wah! You know, I just throw all the control in the world, like I'm going to somehow make this child do exactly what I want done. And it never works. Yeah. So when your goal is control, you have to understand this has happened because you are out of control. Yeah. You are scared. Yeah. So rather than try to figure out new creative ways to control other people, go to work on you.
That's good.
You know, and I always say, you know, if you want to be a control freak, learn to control your freaking self.
So talk a little bit into that. Like, if somebody recognizes, well, I'm scared, and I'm looking at my environment, and straight up, I am controlling. I'm afraid. I am not empowering. I'm not in a position of influence and like seeing people empowered and growing and getting bigger as people. I'm really a lid in the environment. What would a leader do to recoil, to shift, to change? Recoil is the wrong word. Like, heal themselves, like to find themselves operating at a higher level with more nobility, more health.
Well, one of the things that you get afraid of, right, is somebody finds out that you're scared. Somebody finds out that you don't have this nailed. Somebody finds out that you have a weakness.
Yeah.
And most leaders are afraid of anyone finding out about their weakness because they'll take them out.
Yeah.
So you try to cover up all your weaknesses by puffing up and acting like you don't have any, which just makes it worse because that means that is never going to get strengthened.
Yeah.
So this is where pride goes before a fall, and grace comes with humbling yourself. And humbling yourself would look like, I'm going to take full responsibility for how my weakness and anxiety is damaging our team and our production and our creativity and our calling.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to work on me. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to call a mentor. I'm going to call my old boss. I'm going to get some input,
Yeah.
What should I do? Here's what's going on with me. So bring it into the light as fast as you can.
That's
because all the disease and dysfunction and disintegration of integrity and the anxiety pump, all that grows in the darkness.
Yeah. And you made a statement earlier, so if my weakness is seen, there's an assumption someone's going to take advantage of that, whether it's my team or my colleagues or, yeah, so that's a big thought. Like you're living from a place of assumption that we're not together in this, we're not for each other. I got to be the biggest dog or I can't be successful. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Well, sometimes a leader is going to ambitiously try to create a role for themselves, and they presented themselves as able, capable.
Yeah.
And then they find out that, oh my gosh, this is a much bigger job than I thought it was going to be, and or I'm far less prepared for this than I thought I was, but I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to be demoted. And oftentimes in childhood, we learn if somebody finds out about your mistake, your weakness, your homework assignment uncompleted, your chore didn't get done, you told a lie, there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah.
And so you try to hide all of that stuff so that you don't get punished.
Yeah.
And you get better and better and better and better and better and better at hiding your life.
Wow.
So that people just see what you want them to see.
Wow.
And that sometimes is called leadership skills.
Yeah.
And it's eventually known as leadership culture.
Okay.
So you surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing.
Okay.
So all we ever see is each other's strengths.
Oh, wow.
And if, we have chickens at our house. I don't know if you have any chickens, but man, if one of those chickens shows the least bit of weakness or sickness, that thing just gets sent to the back of the pecking order and eventually gets pecked to death.
Oh my gosh.
And people can be just like that.
Wow.
Anybody that has any visible weaknesses gets disempowered, gets disrespected, and eventually gets rejected.
So how do you, in that process, that would be so good to explore, when someone is manifesting vulnerability, weakness, they're sharing, I'm not doing well, what would the healthy culture look like? Whether it's the leader who's setting that culture or the team, what does room for growth look like?
Well,
we're not all there. We haven't all arrived, and we're in the middle of our weakness.
Well, that's really the goal, is to create a safe place.
Yeah.
So if the leader is afraid of weakness, that's the culture.
Yeah.
Everyone hide your weakness. But if the leader is willing to truth people
Yeah.
and say, I'm scared right now, or I don't know what to do right now, or I made a big mess that I need to go clean up, or does anybody have any feedback for me and how you're experiencing me?
Yeah.
Or let's get some ideas on the table and take a look. And eventually I begin to create this place where people can step into the light.
Yeah.
But it's typically cultivated in feedback.
Yeah.
Like I have to open the door so that people can say, here's my experience of you.
Yeah.
Here's what's going on when you stepped into my project.
Yeah.
Here's how I experienced us talking about my raise. I understand that you're trying to get things done quickly, but when you said that I'm always a problem and that I never listen to anybody, that felt hurtful and like an accusation and not true.
Yeah.
I have to be able to talk to you like that in this exchange, or I just absorb,
Yeah.
stuff, boom, blow up at somebody who's a subordinate to me. I don't blow up at you because that would cost too much. So I punish somebody, I kick the dog. I kick the dog instead of be honest with you. So if the leader is creating a place where I say, you have any feedback for me? Do you need anything from me?
Yeah.
Like I've had my team members come to me and say,
Sure.
I was on your YouTube because they have all my stuff. They're the ones that load it and everything. So I was on your YouTube or one of them. I think it was Instagram, and I saw this picture of this girl, and I just clicked on it, and it went to this, and I just are you okay? I'm like, oh gosh, yes, I typed in this thing came up. I clicked on it. I did. You're right. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I scared you.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. So this is a young lady
Yeah.
on my team who's come to me and said, I have some feedback.
Sure.
And I have to be accountable if they're going to be accountable.
Totally.
Because what we tend to do in leadership structures is we create an environment where there's a level of authority no one's accountable.
Okay.
Everyone else is accountable, but these people are not accountable.
Yeah.
And that is how dysfunction grows,
Yeah.
is this lack of accountability, and it's usually like husband and wife, it's maybe the kids work for us now. Maybe my brother works for us. Maybe the two guys that started the company. This group is not accountable. They get to make up whatever rules they want to. They end up creating dynamics underneath them that no one can be protected from.
Yeah. And who knows how vast this audience is, but I feel like the smaller settings, I don't know that it's a different conversation, but like I look at my team context, it's a small team, 4 of us rotating in another 3 or 4, 7, maybe we grow to 8. It's a smaller team. So how many people are leading smaller teams and where these dynamics, it's all at play, but I don't know that I ever feel like I have the permission to be unaccountable. It's like we're all in this thing together. And we're small enough to where it's like, dude, if we don't show up, it doesn't get done. I want to explore a little bit more, because that idea of vulnerability and a culture of feedback, and it's a safe place for even in our weakness, we can still show up and we can bring our strength. What about when the feedback isn't eliciting what I would call connection? Okay, wow, there's hope. We're moving forward together. Where the feedback maybe is corrosive, disrespectful, there's toxicity, whether it's from the leader down or from the employee or follower down or team member up. I mean, is there anything you can speak to there?
Well,
You know,
that's
giving people opportunities and like, hey, let's talk this through, but maybe it's not going anywhere.
Well, typically, this is where the whole thing gets toxic, is somebody has permission to be disrespectful,
Okay.
dishonoring, or irresponsible.
Okay.
And that's this group. That's where it starts.
Wherever that group is. Yeah.
Well, this group's at the top.
Okay.
This group, this person, or this group of people are at the top, and they get to be disrespectful, dishonoring, or irresponsible, unaccountable.
Yeah.
And that effect starts happening in here, and then we make these people responsible to manage the culture that these people create.
Okay.
So it's a little bit like I yell and scream at my kids,
Yeah.
and then I punish them if they yell and scream at each other or if they yell and scream at me.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. You're the culture creator.
Yeah.
We got permission to be disrespectful from you being disrespectful.
Yeah.
We got permission to punish each other when we get upset from you who punishes us when you get upset. That's how that got in here. The way it leaves is I confess and repent.
Yeah.
And now I'm accountable to never punish anyone when I get upset. I need something else to do when I'm upset.
Yeah.
Like tell people I'm upset. I'm hurting. I'm scared. I feel powerless. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I need some time to think. The momentum of disrespect and dishonor and irresponsibility is usually what we're dealing with when people are quitting, when people are filing lawsuits, when people are assaulting each other. It's momentum that creates that. It's not an incident.
Yeah.
That's been going on in a while. And it's either been going on a while in my own personal character or it's been going on in this corporate character.
Sure.
So if I ever get called into a place to work stuff out like this, I end up with a time with the team, the executive team, the senior leadership team, and I say things like, well, let's describe the culture that we have here.
Yeah.
And people will start, trying to remember what that sheet says that, that we're supposed to say, like we have these things written down that, respect, I guess, yeah. And then pretty soon somebody says, I don't think respect is part of this culture. So I say, well, is disrespect? Yeah, disrespect. So I write disrespect. And pretty soon anxiety and accusation and fear and disconnection. Pretty soon you got this whole board going. And then somebody threw in responsibility and vision, whatever, some. And then we just all look at it for a while.
Yeah. with the creators of that, that's going to be
the people most responsible.
That's going to be a really fun moment.
Yeah,
together.
it's accountability moment.
Okay.
So this group of people
Yeah.
are not happy.
Yeah.
This group of people or this guy, this person is either ready to take a look at that and go to work, or this could be the end of what they called their team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we just stay there, and I'm just happy to be in the discomfort, I'm just happy that we're having this conversation because
Yeah.
this is a whole bunch of truth that no one was willing to take on by themselves.
Yeah. So keep talking about that process. I think this is what we're after.
Yeah.
And some of the things that you've seen, and obviously we're not trying to highlight anybody. We're just like, here's some things that happened.
Yeah.
Whether it worked or didn't work, or things that ensued because we sat in the discomfort for a while.
And the goal, what we're getting to, really, I mean, the whole journey, I'm trying to get people to tell the truth.
Okay.
This happened because people are not telling the truth.
Okay. Yeah.
People are scared of what the truth will cost them.
Yeah.
So people are participating in something they don't even believe in,
Yeah.
that they hate. But they feel powerless to change because they're not the leaders. Now, maybe their little teams throughout this are happy as clams. But as soon as you step into the highest levels of decision making, you're in the acid rain, man, because because this top level is not accountable.
Yeah.
You know, this person at the top doesn't have to play by the same rules that everyone else plays by, and nobody tells them the truth.
So that's one of the major keys for shift is, accountability at the highest levels, playing by similar rules. What else have you discovered through experience that, like, here's the things that bring shift, bring change?
So what happens is we sit there for, too long.
Okay.
We sit there for too long, and I keep pointing out, well, how's this? What do you mean? Well, what's going on? Well, where's that come from? And when did that happen? And the leader goes, I did that.
Okay.
I'm doing this. You're like, click.
So there's like a willingness.
There's a
Something happened.
There's ownership of what I've contributed to this outcome.
Yeah.
And I go, all right. So it's not a lynching mob. We're not here to.
Sure.
We're not here to. What we're really here to do is to get to the hope. And so I say, well, let's start talking about what we want our culture to be like.
Yeah.
And we write it all down.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And one time I had this whiteboard that was like 4 panels, and so I wrote it on one panel, and then I skipped a panel and I wrote what we want on another. And the middle panel, I said, all right, what's it going to take to get from here to here?
Yeah.
Let's start listing it out. How will we behave to go from here to here? And now we end up with some kind of a code of conduct. I call it a culture agreement.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we are now going to protect our connection rather than turn our love off because of disagreement. We will.
That's the biggie. I mean, right there, like when it's on, you just disconnect. And there's no trust, right? There's no active participation. It's maybe getting work done, but you don't have we're all in on this thing of kingdom.
Yeah. So
and like a real community.
So if it's a group of believers, then I just hammer down on this keep your love on piece, because I want you to ask yourself, where did you get permission to turn your love off ever?
Wow.
Because it did not come from the king.
Yeah.
You created a behavior that you are unaccountable to and made that part of the cultural experience here.
Yeah.
So you've justified punishing your enemy, not loving your enemy. So, I mean, we get back to, okay, this love stuff, if you want to change this culture, okay, our commitment to love just went through the roof.
Yeah.
Now, here's some of the practicals of how we're going to do that. And we just create a statement, and they create a graphic of all these agreements, and it's powerful.
Yeah.
And now what they're doing is they're now talking about, I'm supposed to talk to you about my problem with you and not talk to somebody else about my problem with you. So that's why I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
And here's how I experienced you. And right in there is, I will be the best listener in this meeting. Okay, so I'm going to listen. Did I listen well? Did I hear what you had to say? Did you feel validated in what you shared with me? All right, good. Whew. All right, these are all the adjustments that are being made so that we create a safe place. Because people will, they have enough courage usually to step into a place where there's protection from being abused. Doesn't mean that we're going to agree. It doesn't mean that we're going to share perspective or even value for what is going on. But you'll manage yourself and I'll manage myself.
Yeah.
And I won't try to control you and you won't try to control me.
Yeah.
But we will work on the power of our connection, our relationship, to be intact on the other side of this disagreement, of this offense, of something that was really irresponsible or something that was maybe dishonoring.
Yeah.
The goal is to protect this connection because that's what chases fear away. Justifying disconnection is what invites anxiety.
Okay. And within that, the idea of boundaries and like we're protecting ourselves to a degree, like there's no room for abuse. So I want to pursue the connection. I don't have permission to give up on the relationship, but there may be a need for boundaries. Can you talk about that, the subtleties there? Because I know some people, it's like, man, this happened. It's so hard to move towards this individual. I need a boundary. Mm-hmm. Maybe unpack that a little bit.
As long as I understand what boundaries are, because some people think, I don't want this relationship. I don't want to talk to you. You scare me. You hurt me. I forgive you, but I don't ever want to talk to you again. Yeah. I'm setting a boundary.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not a boundary. That's rejection.
Okay. Yeah.
Boundaries have the hope of reconciliation in them.
Okay.
So, whoa, that feels really disrespectful. I am not going to have a disrespectful exchange with you. If it's going to change now, we can keep talking. If we need time, we can come back and talk in a little while. Yeah. What would you like to do? Yeah. Okay, I'll call it. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you later is hope of reconciliation. Yeah. Now, it happens again. You know what? We cannot seem to have a respectful exchange yet. So maybe we invite our supervisor, someone we're both accountable to. Yeah. We'll invite them in to see if they can help us have a respectful exchange and find some understanding and make adjustments that we're needing from each other. Yeah. Those are boundaries.
That's good.
You know, so mature love casts out fear, but immature love casts out people.
Wow.
And I think again and again what happens is people get frustrated, people get hurt, people feel powerless, they feel scared, and they just say, maybe I just don't ever have to deal with you. Or if I deal with you, it'll be brief and fleeting.
Yeah.
You know, and like, wow, I don't think that person's feeling love.
Yeah, no real connection.
No.
There's no hope.
No.
And in a team setting, like you're working together, it's like, I mean, there's just all the air is out of the sails, and there's no whatever you're going after. It's not going. You're not going anywhere. You're stuck.
No. And if one of your kids says, I am just not going to ever deal with my sister again. Yeah. Wow. Well, that'd be rough, but it's going to be really rough because you're 8. And we're going to be here for 10 more years at least. So let's see if we can't work this out. Nope, that's it. I've had it with her. I've had 6 painful years with this person. I am done. No, you're not.
Yeah. So what else gets populated on that second board between where we have been and where we want to go? Anything else that you can see on there? A lot of relational dynamics, a lot of respectful dynamics, respectful interactions.
Yeah, I mean, Brittany, my daughter, and I do the Kylo Show podcast.
Yeah.
So it's super fun.
We love that show.
And we got the Kylo 5, right?
Some goodies on there.
The Keep Your Love On 5.
Okay.
And, be powerful, win the battle between love and fear, keep connection your goal, practice respectful communication, and honor healthy boundaries. So all the statements, I'm going to lead this group to produce statements that fulfill these 5 things again and again and again. And I'll just keep asking questions of like, okay, why do we have so much resentment? Resentment, you guys said resentful and bitter. That tells me there's a pretty concentrated dose of injury and powerlessness. What's causing that? And they start talking. And when I start searching the Kylo 5 for, okay, what's the remedy to that ever happening again? Okay, I'll write a statement and they'll say, well, I don't know, well, and they'll smith it, and I'll just smith it with them. And then we finally get it and they go, that would help. Yeah. That would help if everybody did that. Say, well, there we go. All of us are now accountable to that, to each other, to that.
Yeah, and I realize that'll be different in every environment, but what are some of the statements that you see Smith up there in your journey with leaders and cultures?
One of them is, I will talk to you about my problem with you, and I won't talk to somebody else.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's usually what's happening is I talk to somebody else about how you hurt me, how you were irresponsible, how you were dishonoring.
Sure.
I'll tell this person, but I won't tell you.
Yeah.
So now I'm contributing to our old culture. Yeah. So this person knows, and they kick me back, and they say, "Did you talk to Lance yet?" No, I don't. I don't expect that to go very well. Well, if you haven't talked to Lance, you can't talk to me.
Accountability, there you go, yeah.
And I'm going to tell Lance at 1 o'clock today that you have a problem with him.
Well, you're ratting them out.
Boom.
Man. There you go.
Boom, okay.
But it's like, you're setting culture. You're like, hey, there's a standard, and we actually want this to go well.
We want this to be true.
Yeah.
We want this culture over here. We don't want any more of what we crawled out of. We all just hated coming to this place.
Well, and I think that's a dynamic. Don't you think there's so much of that, like what I expect is what hasn't been working. So the risk of setting a new tone and doing some things that are righteous and correct and might help are really threatening, huh? I mean, if somebody's background especially, or pretext, backstory is just like, that did not work, it was so unhealthy, they're coming into an environment with that lens, might be tougher for them to like employ the right process, huh?
Well,
what do you say to that individual? Because they're contributing to the whole
They
mess.
absolutely are, and they're contributing to it staying that way.
Yeah.
So, I'm involved with the coaching and the accountability, and I keep showing back up, and we keep getting in the same room, and I keep asking these tough questions. And people say, I should have said something. I didn't say anything. One of the things would be, I won't allow our disagreement to lead to a disconnection.
Okay.
Or I won't avoid a relationship because of a disagreement.
Okay.
And we all agree to this. We stop at 10.
Yeah, it's a culture of conduct or conduct. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a culture agreement, meaning that we agree to change the culture. By this is the bridge. The bridge is we behave differently than we ever have, consistently.
Yeah.
And I'll keep pounding them with, okay, clarity. Is everyone clear? Anybody have any questions? Do you know how to do this? What will you do? And we go through that to get clarity, and then we say, okay, consistency means every time. Not 3 out of 12. Every time.
Yeah.
And confrontation. So we got these 3 C's. And confrontation is, if I see you breaking that, I'll confront you. If you see me breaking that, please confront me.
Yeah.
We are all accountable. And the leader's saying this. Yeah. We are all accountable to this.
Wow.
And now everyone's in the light, and no one's popped up in here in the Don't talk to me about how I am stressing you out.
Sure. That's got to create so much hope. Like having that
It
agreement.
transforms
Yeah.
100% of the time, it transforms the place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's my experience in a smaller context of like, man, I'm losing hope here because our attempts at shift don't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, but the big idea is, well, okay, as a leader, there's got to be, let's come together, let's talk about our culture, let's be honest with what's not working, let's celebrate what is working. Here's what we're agreeing to. That's really profound stuff. Really powerful.
I mean, I've watched organizations go from all the top leaders, like 40% of their employees, they had over 100 employees,
Yeah.
left in one day.
Wow.
All their department heads,
Wow.
all their senior leaders,
Wow.
and a bunch of their staff and interns gone in a day because of a culture nobody had any hope that the unaccountable
Yeah.
person at the top was going to change.
Yeah.
And it was real. I mean, it was real. Like, there's next to no chance that person is going to change
Yeah.
unless we truth them. And if we truth them, there's no place to hide.
Yeah.
And then they have to decide, do I want an organization or do I just want to go around speaking at places and
Yeah.
never be accountable?
Okay. Anything else you would say to leaders that, like the truth them idea? Like maybe they're hearing this just like, man, I want out from my toxic culture that I've made. I need help. Like how else would you truth them or help them get out and enter into a space of change, shift?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's scary.
Mhm.
You know, it's like I'm going to get punished so bad. The second I admit to being responsible for any of the pain that's going on around me, I'm going to get punished so bad.
Wow.
You know, and so they are like, I don't want to have to accept responsibility. I mean, it's the same like in a marriage. You know, when you know that you've contributed to this, but you have because you know, and so you're totally justified. So if I were you as a leader, I would say if you could just make a commitment to eliminate self-justification.
Okay.
If you could quit blaming someone else for why you do what you do, that you know is disrespectful, dishonoring, or irresponsible. If you'll just commit to listening really well and making an adjustment, would this help? Or more importantly, did I hear you?
Mm.
Is this what you're saying? Is this what you're feeling? Is this what you need to feel? Okay, got it. I'll go to work on that. Instead of, okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You remember that time that and here I go. I'm about to disassemble all the validity of everything you just said by invalidating you, accusing you of the same thing or something worse.
Yeah.
So how can you really require me to do anything different when you, in fact, Mr. Jacobs, were there in the library with the lead pipe?
Yeah. Wow. It's good stuff, man. This got to be helping somebody. Well, it's helping me. I'm definitely receiving some of these nuggets. Wow. Yeah, I think we've said the stuff that I was after. Anything you can think of that's in this space that maybe I didn't lead you towards? Final thoughts. Really good stuff. This is so helpful. Yeah. And I mean, I just asked you a question. Now I'm going to make some more statements. I mean, back to that leader that's like, whoa, this is scary. I am if I'm going to change this is going to be really hard.
Yeah.
Maybe anything else you'd say to them, hope for them, strength for them, because maybe they have just gotten so used to being insulated or not changing that coming out it's going to require something of them.
I think you need help. I think you gotta
That's
ask for
awesome.
help.
Yeah.
There's you're not likely to do a great job changing for very long by yourself.
Alone, yeah.
You're just really not. So I'll go back to learning Portuguese. You want to learn Portuguese, you can teach yourself,
Yeah.
but you can have a terrible accent. You may be understandable, and you won't catch yourself using the wrong words and or conjugating your verbs incorrectly, and you won't be very convincing.
Yeah.
You might be able to order in a restaurant, but probably not.
Yeah.
And then you could do a Duolingo thing, and kind of get the app, and somebody else is going to teach you how to say it, and you'll get to hear it pronounced right. But still, if you really want to learn this, you're gonna have to get somebody who speaks Portuguese to walk with you. And if you really want to learn it, go to Portugal,
Yeah.
go to Brazil, and only be able to get your needs met in an environment that functions in that.
Yeah.
So, there's levels to this that will
Sure.
accelerate you. You can try to do it all yourself, but I promise you that you are going to do a terrible job by yourself.
Yeah.
So get somebody to walk with you, and then become a part of some community that is doing a great job with this.
Yeah.
Like, I would highly recommend that you get into the Kylo community, the Keep Your Love On community that's
Yeah.
available online. There's a Facebook page there. There's a whole group that I get on there once a month with a Zoom call.
Yeah.
They talk to each other. I talk to them throughout the month, and then we get on and we talk. We teach. We answer questions, and it's moving to Portugal.
Sure.
You're in an environment where everyone is giving you feedback, listening to you, showing you what they're learning, and it's kind of like when people. Well, how many people that we know that have heard about Bethel somewhere,
Sure.
went to school of ministry, moved here for 3 years? There you go. This is how you get it deeper.
Yeah.
And it's all about exposure.
Yeah. Yeah. And having people, again, not just your team that you're walking with in this, but you have outsiders that are holding you to it.
Yeah, especially if you're the
If you're the senior
teacher,
leader or you're the leader, it's like, how do I get somebody with me on this?
Yeah, and most likely there's other people on your team that are going to pick it up as fast or faster than you do.
Oh, for sure.
And so if you have somebody that's working with your team, you're moving this even faster. Maybe they're just coaching you, but having somebody work with your team is gonna produce much faster results, and it's gonna come with humility and switching from leader to follower.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, I asked you any other thoughts that I didn't lead you towards that you want to share in this big conversation?
I would need you to be humble.
Yeah.
And by humble, I don't mean sorry.
Okay. Excuse me.
By humble, I don't mean abandon your leadership role. By humble, I mean you become aware
Yeah.
of how other people experience you,
Yeah.
and you are willing to adjust to protect your relationships.
It's good.
So practicing that, and this is essential in feedback, is I don't know what I don't know. Like, I have no idea how my breath smells right now.
Yeah.
And it's right under my nose, and I have no idea. So if you don't let me know,
Yeah.
I'm going to walk into some important situations and blow it up just with my breath. So if you really love me, you will tell me the truth even though it's hard. And it's hard for me to hear because I'm not trying to have bad breath.
Yeah.
I don't want to have bad breath.
Totally.
I do, though, don't I? Oh. Well, if I know I can do something about it, I can adjust.
Yeah.
And that's the whole power of feedback and surrounding myself with people who courageously truth me. And that's really how I build the strongest trust, is the exchange of truth.
That's good. Yeah, so much in here. So, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
Like,
man.
really good conversation, really important conversation. I think that's the other thing I didn't lead with is how frequent this is. This is a reality. This is very common. I think there's that dynamic, maybe those that have been hurt or been the recipients of a controlling environment or leadership relationship. It's like, he's the worst leader on the planet and I'm the only one that suffered this. No, it's like, this is really common. It's out there. It's a human dynamic. Thus, we want to talk about it. Hopefully give some people some tools and some handholds and growth points. So thanks, Danny.
Okay.
People can follow you. You've mentioned Kylo. Is there a website? Like, where do people connect to you more?
Yeah, lovingonpurpose.com
Okay.
would be the fastest way to do it. All that information is available on there. And
Great.
if you're interested in any consulting work, and
Yeah.
just mention it on there.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of people would really value the consulting side of the equation. Like that's got to be a win for environments and teams. And thanks. So thanks for being with us. Good to have you guys. We're in this big theme of responsible leadership and the whole idea of power dynamics, control, trust, vulnerability. So much to talk about here. I love it. I think it's a good time, a good conversation, definitely worth having. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.